Carl Willis is an innocent man.
None of it makes any sense.
I love you, baby. I love you. This the queen right here.
You're getting married in September, right?
I'm tell you the truth, I'm actually already married. I didn't want to come out like that.
It's my brother,
That's my family right there.
Love it.
We made it. That's my guy, that's my brother, that's my best friend, that's my cousin. That's my, you know what I'm saying? We've been knowing each other since elementary to the penitentiary. We back here now.
For the first time in more than 23 years, Wayne Brady and Carl Willis are experiencing freedom.
Walking out the front door, it's a whole different feeling. Man, I go to the door just to look out. You know what I mean? See a car ride up the street or something. I see little kids and stuff playing. You don't see babies in jail, but on a visit.
Sometimes the new world can be a little tricky to navigate.
But he's still trying to figure that out. He be pocket dialing me and stuff. I'm like, bruh, you just called me. He was like, oh, I didn't mean to. I said, I meant to answer though. What's up? You know what I mean?
And sometimes it can be overwhelming.
I had anxiety in prison and had it since I've been out here. But every day I continue to give it to the Lord because the Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want. He guides my footsteps. But every day it's still a challenge.
But it's now a world without bars and without guards telling them where to be or what to do. On March 28, prosecutor Julia Bates ended a decades-old legal battle with the men.
And I think sometimes, Judge, the case needs closure. I think sometimes the case needs to be over.
Offering them plea deals and a chance to go home. Giving them an opportunity to rebuild their lives. Lives littered with loss.
I had a son that was just born a few weeks before I got arrested, and I had another son that was 15 months old when I went to jail, and my current girlfriend at the time was pregnant with my son and miscarried him at 7.5 months pregnant while I was awaiting trial.
I lost my mother, I lost my father, I lost my grandmother, and I lost a grandbaby. Something that the state can't get back, something I can't get back, but something I can live for and they can live, I made it home.
How you doing today?
The next chapter in their lives is still unwritten, but they want it to be about seized opportunity.
Ain't no limit to it, you know what I mean? I can't sit here and tell you exactly what I'm gonna do. I just gotta live it, you know what I mean? The average person that's gonna tell you, oh, I'm about to get out and be wearing this and driving this, and this is what my girlfriend gonna look like, they capping. You know what I mean? Especially after all this time, man, I'm taking it slow. John Legend, take it slow.
Just outside the village of Paulding is a stretch of land known as Nancy's Woods. 2:30 in the morning of November 14, 1960, in those woods, raccoon hunters found the lifeless body of Nancy Eagleson. Hours earlier, the 14-year-old girl was abducted while walking home from the movies with her 5-year-old sister, Cheryl.
And I remember sitting in my dad's lap, and they just, Mr. and Mrs. Eagleson, we're sorry to tell you, but we found your daughter, and she is dead.
After we would all go to bed, I would hear my dad get up and go and check every door and make sure they were locked. So just all at once, you know, everything changed and everybody was scared.
I'd tell a lot of folks that this is the most emotional case in our county's history.
Welcome to True Crime Garage. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Nick. And
it's a case that Nick Edwards has spent hundreds of hours investigating. sports podcast True Crime Garage, but also is a member of the Porch Light Project, a nonprofit victims advocacy group. It assists law enforcement on cold cases and helped with additional testing in this case.
And you can make a strong argument that it was a local guy. It had to be a local guy. It had to be somebody that knew the area, knew that town very well, knew the people. But then you could look at every aspect of that as well and argue that no, for whatever reason, evil passed through here that day and took Nancy away.
Whoever the killer is, he is evil. The autopsy shows that Nancy was raped and shot once under her chin with a bullet passing through her brain. A sketch was developed based on Cheryl's description: dark hair, glasses, maybe early 40s, and well-dressed.
And this man was dressed, this boy, man, whatever, was dressed in a suit from church, like he just came from church. And he had a fedora on. Whether that's how he always dressed or was it something he put on to look older.
She says Nancy was thrown into the back seat and appeared to go limp just before 8 p.m.
So I smelled something, and when I told them I smelled something funny, at first they thought it might have been like beer. But then when I told him how he was messing in his pockets and doing something and I couldn't see what he was doing, and the way she looked when she left the drive there, they thought maybe that he might have chloroformed her.
A little more than 6 hours later, her body was found 7 miles away.
I've reviewed hundreds of homicide cases. Two things that stand out that are not typical are that one, that a victim is abducted and then found so quickly afterwards. I mean, she's found hours after she was abducted and killed. The other thing is where they located her body is not terribly far away from where she was abducted.
That immediately cast suspicion on Joseph Offrance and Kenny Nelson, who were spotted by a highway trooper coming out of the woods after finding Nancy. Offrance can be seen in a newspaper photo from the site where Nancy was found.
There were a lot of people walking about, milling about. There were even, 1960, there were even media people showing up relatively quickly. So yeah, there was a lot of that, and I didn't see much evidence that they really blocked off the area and secured the scene very well.
After the discovery, police received several tips. One involved the city of Antwerp. A man knocked on a resident's door at 1:30 in the morning, asking how to get to a city in Indiana. He was described as having dark hair and glasses, matching Cheryl's description and a composite sketch. Nancy was found on Route 176, which leads directly into Antwerp. Whoever the killer is, he left a young witness behind.
I thought for sure that he might come back and get me. And I thought, I knew at 5, I thought, my mom and dad couldn't protect her. They're not going to be able to save me either.
At one point, Cheryl believes the killer did return while she was staying at her grandmother's house.
The back door come flying open. And I screamed so loud. And my mom come running up to get me. She thought that I cut myself or something. Saw the door open, immediately grabbed me off the chair and went to the other room to call my dad and my grandfather. And then they got the police and they came over and they had found a knife or a screwdriver, I'm not sure now it was a knife or screwdriver, on the back porch. They had pried the 2 locks that were on the door.
But the argument for an outsider materialized years later in Mark Hodges. In the mid-1960s, Hodges was accused of shooting a young girl and later killing a woman near Perrysburg. He was not convicted at either trial, however, but he did later spend years in prison for sexually oriented offenses. A law enforcement official told us he was in a nearby bar the night of the killing. An interview with Hodges convinced Sheriff Keeler that he was their man, according to 2 law enforcement sources we talked to. But none of the evidence could tie him to the scene. And that evidence has vanished.
That will always forever be One of the issues that even I, again, who wasn't alive in 1960, had nothing to do with this, will have a black eye because this evidence is missing.
At one point, it was taken to the Toledo Crime Lab, but Toledo confirmed to us that it does not have it. No one knows where it is or how it disappeared.
Obviously, something happened to it at some point, well before my career here. And and again, in this case, it's unfortunate because there was great evidence, I believe, at that time that would have brought a resolution to this case, again, probably before I started my career here.
I found it.
But weeks after talking to Sheriff Landers, a possible break in the case came during an 11 Investigates interview.
Ta-da! Haven't had it out for a while.
Few people in Toledo know about the city's fire escrow account. I didn't, and I've lived here since 1998. But if an insurance company pays out to a private homeowner after a fire, a portion of the money goes into this account. The idea is this: if the homeowner doesn't repair, rebuild, or raise the home, the city can use the money to rehab or level the structure. But if the homeowner repairs the property, the money should be released to them. So we decided to see if that's happening. The fire escrow account listed on the city's homepage includes dozens of properties, some dating back to 1997. There is more than $2 million in the account, just waiting for residents to claim it. Do you know Mary Terrell?
Who's looking for her?
Well, I am. Brian Duggar from WTUL. We're doing a story on there's people that the city owes a bunch of money to.
Yeah.
And she's one of them. We went looking for those on the list. We picked an address and drove to it. Mary Terrell's home was destroyed by fire in 2007, and she rebuilt. There's a fund that the city is holding $11,352 for you.
Oh, yeah?
She obviously was excited by the news.
This is unbelievable.
This is what, I mean, somebody had reached out from the city who was upset that there's, basically at this point, there's $2 million in this account from people that just haven't got this money back. And,
okay.
So I would do that.
So
and
let me get something so I can write this down, because it's, I mean, 11,000. Who could not use $11,000?
She filled out the application on the city's homepage.
If I were to get $11,000,
made plans.
I have several places I would like to go: Hawaii, Jerusalem, and a family outing.
And almost immediately, the city shot down those plans. In an email, City Commissioner Dennis Kennedy says the city considers money abandoned if there's no response from the resident after 5 years. Some people may believe that it's a legally gray area as far as when that 5 years is up. But listen to this. Mary got an email from the city. They told her that her money was forfeited as of September 2022. That's 15 years after her house caught on fire.
Depraise the house.
She was also told they tried to notify her. In June, in the Blade.
And they reached out, put it in the Blade. Well, I don't get the Blade.
They also sent her a letter in 2007 when she was living in a hotel, basically homeless.
If I got it, I don't remember. If I got it, I would have remembered it, because I remember $11,000.
Nowhere on the city's homepage does it list the time limit for claiming her money, and her rebuilt home is still listed on the site.
I did everything that would qualify me for my abatement, if you will. And the address is here, and I'm home enough to get my mail, and I was just wondering why wasn't I notified by mail?
After all these years, the city is telling her she missed out by a couple months.
4 separate weeks.
Missed out on more than $11,000.
Well, actually, I feel kind of slighted. In September of 22, and here I am on a list, the third quarter, and now the funds are not available. I don't feel too good about that at all. I'm going to say I'm pretty upset about it.